Never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.
Hey, good afternoon, advocates. Dogfather here. We're back for another episode of the Pitbull Advocate. It's good to be back in the swing of these things. Please meet Joe Frazier, Love a Pit Rescue. Welcome back, Joe.
Thanks.
Enjoying our Bully Dog coffee here today. What do you brew today, Joe?
I'm drinking Dosha's Delight. How about you?
Dosha's Delight, just in case you don't know, is an exclusive to Love a Pit Rescue, and that roast honors Joe's beloved former late circus dog, Dosha. What a sweetheart. I never met Dosha, but we've got a nice Mexican roast there that we got for you guys, light roasted to honor Dosha. We're going to be doing more of that, guys. One of the things that just here as an example, I'm going to show. Whoop, there we go, Bully Dog Coffee Company, and also big thanks to Roman at Roman's Holistic Dog Training. He's also been part of helping sponsor this program we've got here. The Pitbull Advocate. Joe, we've been doing this for 10 years, man. Started out
on 11.
Yeah, going on 11. It'll be actually October. I think we're going on 11 years. And we started out at Blog Talk Radio, which was actually a really, really cool format. We were doing 30-minute shows there. And the thing about that was we were really kind of stuck on this time frame. Boy, that show started, whether we're ready or not, that show started.
Yep.
So it's nice. We got a little more control. We have video, and we actually, do screen shares and stuff like that. We actually, and I think just the whole format is really, really cool here at StreamYard. We can just tell you real quick why we're not broadcasting on Facebook right now. I got dinged on something I posted probably about 2 years ago. I don't really remember what it was, but it affects. I mean, that's the thing. It affects everything I do on there. So that's my fault. But right now we got the YouTube, and that's kind of our little backup right now, which is okay. But we talk about why we stick with the Facebook format, just because it's a convenient thing. People they spend a lot of time on the Facebook. They don't, what was it we were saying? There are three things that exist on the internet, and that's email, Netflix, and Facebook.
Social media. Yeah,
Facebook. Social media. But we use it to our advantage. We're going to give away a pound of coffee here later, Joe, and I'm putting that on you to come up with a question that we're going to but in the meantime,
thanks for stabbing me with that.
yeah, it's on you. Unless I come up with something, I mean, we could come up with something fairly easy that I think that a lot of people would kind of get right off the gate. But the first person to answer that in the chat here is going to win a pound of Bully Dog coffee. Back to the show, guys. Sharon Logan is back, and we're making her wait a little bit. We're talking about the Steffen Baldwin case, and we got through a lot last week, and I think, and then it was decided that there was more that we really needed to, to kind of put out to people and get a better understanding of this case and the charges, and not just that, but, Sharon has also shared, her own personal experiences with Steffen Baldwin. and it's just, to get the insight from somebody who actually dealt with this person and the personalities, and just kind of, how things kind of went with this. And now, and also I want to try and get a better understanding of the charges. There are a lot on there, but let's, more specifically, the animal cruelty charges. I think there's 11, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong, but to me, those are the most important charges that hopefully we can get them to stick. Everything else, that's, really, the firearm charges and all that. But all that just kind of, you stack that on there. And honestly, Joe, I'm just going to go on. It just tells you what a piece of work this guy really is. The things, the big con and the big show that they put on. Well, meanwhile, other rescues really are, they're struggling. Rescues are struggle. And I know Joe Lovapit's got, you guys got bills to pay, but I don't see anybody else in any rescue putting any money in their pockets. It's just, the money goes to the dogs where it's supposed to go. And, I think it should be, it was always a labor of love for me. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of, Joe, about the labor, putting the labor in the love at a rescue. Where'd you go, buddy?
I got my phone propped here, and it's not working as well as I thought it might.
But yeah, let's continue that case. My personal point of view and my things are really kind of irrelevant here. But let's bring back on Sharon. Sharon, welcome back.
Hello, how are you?
Good. It's good to have you back.
Yeah.
And we're really, last week's show that we got, like I said, we got a lot of stuff out. We got a lot of information out there. But I think, like you said, and I agree that we want to talk more about this. So I'm gonna give you the lead. I'm just gonna throw something at you, and I really want to go to some of these charges. If you can correct me, we'll start with that on the number of animal cruelty charges against Steffen Baldwin. Was that 11?
There are 11, yes.
11.
But they started out as misdemeanors, and then they were upgraded to felonies. So they are now felonies, and like you said, hopefully every single one of those 11 felony charges stick of animal cruelty. Yes.
Yeah. How did, if I'm not an expert on law. It would have been great to have some sort of an attorney type person in here to kind of explain these things. But do you know how they went from misdemeanor charges to felony charges and how they made that big of a jump?
Well, they were supposed to have been filed as felonies in the beginning, and for some reason they weren't filed as felonies. They were filed as misdemeanors. Yes. Okay. And then so when the judge dismissed those, they refiled them, and they refiled them under the felonies, which they were supposed to do in the beginning, but they didn't get to do it.
Okay. Out of those, do you see any chance of maybe additional charges being filed on the animal cruelty end of it? Because it just seems for the period of time that he was doing this, there's got to be more than 11. That's just, in my opinion, there's got to be more than 11 dogs.
Right. There are, and remember last week we discussed the 18. There are 18 dogs that are known about in Ohio, proven, factual, substantiated, known about. The reason why out of those 18 dogs, some of them weren't included in the indictment was because the statute of limitations had run out on those dogs. Mm-hmm. So that's why.
Okay. So we've got 11.
Yes.
Which is
now remember, that's just in Ohio. There's plenty more in California.
Right.
So
yeah. We got someone else tuning in here. Hey, welcome, you guys. We've got the little chat there. Shoot your comments. messages, questions there in the chat, and they're going to turn up here on our screen, and we'll put those up and get those answered for you. But everybody, welcome back to the show. We've got Sharon Logan. We're talking about Mr. Steffen Baldwin and the case going on there in Ohio. With California, you mentioned. Do you foresee, just from your opinion, do you foresee any charges being filed in the state of California?
We really hope so. I mean, it's hard to tell, as you know. I'm not sure you're aware, but our lovely LA District Attorney George Gascon is, he's pretty much decarceration, and there's other ways to deal with issues. So I don't think animal abuse or animal cruelty is high on his list, of things to prosecute. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But we are in touch with an assistant DA in LA. We've given her everything, She says she's going to do her best. So that's what we hope for.
Good. Well, I mean, let's get this, this Ohio thing, taken care of first, I suppose. I'd love to see, I'd like to see every single
charge stick.
I mean, especially the animal cruelty things. Like I say, you've got impersonation of a peace officer, you've got stolen firearms, you've got
telecommunications fraud. Yes.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that just blew my mind. Just seeing, that is another thing that had come up repeatedly.
Yes.
I mean, was the telecommunications fraud, and just to do that in the name of a rescue, and you've got freaking tattoos on your knuckles that say "Save them."
Yes.
And then you go around, you're taking money and killing of dogs and it's just, I'm just going off here on my own little tangent, but I want to see these charges stick. And Sharon, I appreciate your being so involved in this, because we're not getting the it's not getting media attention.
Right.
I don't know if that's such a bad thing, a negative thing in that aspect, because Joe, we talked about this, what this could do to rescues, because I can see all the anti-pit bull people losing their minds over see these pit bull people, and just kind of turn the tables on that and just kind of find a reason to come at us, instead of Baldwin as the individual who. And Saskia, we'll talk about her too. I mean,
it's a double-edged sword. I mean, in one form, people need to know, but in another form, it's just another way of negative light being brought onto rescues in general, let alone just bully rescues.
Yeah.
Right.
So, have you got anything new for us, Sharon? I mean, let's.
There was so much information last time. We tried to just pile all in there in the hour and I think 45 minutes we were on. But yeah, so I forgot to mention a couple of things, or a few things I think that's important. So after Steffen was arrested in Ohio, in October he was arrested in the end of July, extradited back to Ohio in August. In October, he was involved in a one-person car accident, and he hurt his neck. He failed a drug test, but he said it was due to the car accident. So he was actually rearrested, but the judge allowed him back out. So he was involved in a one-person car accident. He hurt his neck. He went from the hospital to rehabilitation from October to December, and then he also had a failed drug test.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Do you know what that drug test? What was in that? I'm got it in my head. I'm guessing what it was, but do you know what substance?
I don't, but when he went before the judge, he said that he failed the drug test due to eating a poppy seed bagel. That was his excuse.
I'm guessing opiates.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we
I
all
mean,
know,
that's
we all
the
know
only
he
thing.
was a former heroin user. I mean, we know people that have actually seen him use heroin in Ohio. So yeah, but the judge re-let him out, didn't revoke his bond or up his bail or anything. Just said nope, let him go. So he's back out there. Yeah,
Is he on bond now?
he is. He's on a $250,000 bond.
It's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
I bet. Well, it probably wasn't any problem with him paying that, considering his paychecks.
Right, right.
I'm here to be devil's advocate on the pitbull.
$250,000 bond. He has 3 of the top criminal defense attorneys known in the state of Ohio. So, I mean, I know that the Sanctuary of Sorrows, or his place out in Acton, did sell. It was 7.5 acres out in Acton with a manufactured mobile home on it. And after the sale, he did walk away with $125,000 after the sale of that place. But I mean, that doesn't last long in today's world, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I do hope that whoever bought that place does a blessing and sages the shit out of that place and says a blessing for all the animals that suffered there and died there. So
yeah. There's got to be you look at a place like that, and then you look at a place like Mike Vick's old place, and I think didn't off topic. I believe some animal rescue organization got a hold of that property.
Did they?
I believe so.
Yeah. I don't know who it was, but there was some animal rescue that had gotten, I don't know if it was pit bull exclusively or not, but I believe there was a rescue that got their hands on that property, and that's what I'd like to see. If somebody could do the same with Baldwin's former property and really do what's right, and like you say, bless the hell out of that.
Yeah, they need to do a blessing and sage the shit out of that whole property, top to bottom, all 7.5 acres. That's for sure. Yeah.
Totally. There's got to be. It would just, I just kind of have this vision of the Vic place where there would be areas where they, if you're looking, you're going to start finding, bodies.
Yeah, I agree.
Bodies of dogs, and we don't. The 11 charges, and then you say there are 15 total dogs that are known.
No, there were 18. 18 total in Ohio, and not all of them are named because the statutes of limitations had expired on some of them.
Yeah. So we could be talking 20 more dogs. That is possibility. Has anybody through the investigation looked?
Yes.
That property, they've actually looked for.
Officer Conroy has stated that there are 18 dogs that they know of for sure, can verify, and at least 35, anywhere from 35 to 60 more that they don't know of, so.
Has anybody, does any excavation on those properties or looked around to find spots that may be possible burial sites for these dogs?
I don't think they excavated the property. I know that they did do a search warrant with multi-state agencies involved in the search warrant at his home. So yeah, but I don't believe they did any excavation or any kind of digging. So
yeah, it just seems like that would be to me something, if you're investigating this sort of thing, that they would look for something like that on the property. It's just because we don't know. It could be a lot more. And this, this statute of limitations, I get it, but I don't get it. But when it comes to things, some things in crimes that are committed, there should be absolutely no statute of limitations. We should find a means of getting him on every single dog. I don't care if it was 10 years, 15 years. Do you know what that is? The statute of limitations on that, Joe?
I know in California it's 3 years for felonies and 2 years for misdemeanors, and like murder or child molestation, there's no statute of limitations. I believe, but other than that, there's limitations that I'm aware of. Anyway,
And
Is that
that's
something
the
that,
problem.
yeah,
That's the problem. This is another situation of the voiceless. Just like I'm not going to step forward and say anything about sexual abuse. There should be no statute of limitations for this. They don't have a voice to say, "Hey, this person's treating me wrong."
exactly. I agree.
yeah. Is that something that you would look into, and anybody that you're involved with to change? I know it's not just like a thing you just go up and you start talking to judges and lawyers and lawmakers, and just ask. I know there's got to be a process to it, but how would you go about that? Is that something that you would look to do maybe at the end of this case to make sure that people like Baldwin that are abusing and killing animals, to maybe extend that statute of limitations?
As far as I know, I'm not doing that. I have so much on my hands already, and
Yeah.
as far as in Ohio, I don't know. I can't say.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so last week we also, we discussed about how he pulled Newman and Bosco from OC Animal Care and another dog named Dozer, and then he had those three euthanized like 5 months before he was arrested. He did photo ops and videos with Newman and Bosco, and then he just had them arrested when he was done. And of course didn't say anything, and Saskia is claiming she never knew he had these dogs euthanized. But besides Newman, Bosco, and Dozer, he was talking about euthanizing 16 others. So that's like part of the witness list. That's in the witness list. He had talked to his employees. He was planning on euthanizing 16 other dogs, but he didn't get a chance to do that.
How is I mean, is he, when he has these dogs euthanized, I mean, is he doing this himself? Is he having a vet come out?
He's having a mobile vet come onto the premises, and he's giving them some kind of story about them being aggressive or behaviorally or behave euthanasia. So the vet euthanized those three that we know of. Yeah.
Is the vet? Are you aware of the vet being called as a witness in this case?
I'm not sure. The witness list is like so long and so many pages. It's crazy. I don't know if the vet is going to be a witness or not.
Okay. I would think, I mean, if I'm a veterinarian and I'm getting calls from this guy, however many times, I'll just start with 11. You're going out, okay, one time, okay, but is he calling the same vet?
Yeah, it's the same one. Same vet, yes.
This doesn't raise any red flags for this vet. This guy's now you're on 11 dogs euthanized, and that just doesn't, I mean.
No, it was 3 in California that we know about, that we're sure of, and then 16 others that he was discussing to euthanize, but he didn't get a chance to do those 16 other ones.
Yeah. It just, I mean, to be that vet and not see anything I mean, any of those vets involved, it just doesn't jive, I mean, to me,
Yeah.
I would have a problem with that. I don't know who you would.
Yeah, I work with 3 local vets around here, and if I would call any of those vets and say, look, I need to behaviorally euthanize that dog, that vet will actually tell me like, no, or come in, we're going to, test it or whatever to determine. And if we don't see any behavioral problems, we're not going to euthanize that dog. So my vets won't do that.
Yeah, I know, I've never, I would have never considered that. And I certainly wouldn't make a habit of. I know these dogs need help. I understand that, and from the compassionate view of it, that these dogs do deserve a chance, every single freaking one of them. But to make a habit of just pulling dogs with behavioral issues, you just keep shoveling shit on your plate that you can't, and that you can't handle it, and then
even our medical dogs, when they get so far along that it's time to let them go, any of the vets that we work with, all the tests and records have to be in place, etc. We have to be pretty definitive that they're cancer or whatever, and it's their time, they're in too much pain, whatever it is. None of our vets are just
going to euthanize.
Right. Same. We've had a couple behavioral, that we've gone in, we've talked with the vet, we're sitting there 20 minutes, we've gone through everything we've done, etc. It's come down to that, this dog is not going anywhere for that behavioral reason, which those have been far and few between. We've only put 2 or 3 down for behavioral.
Yeah.
Sharon,
we discussed last week that, when he was arrested, he had 66 dogs out at his place in Acton, 7.5 acres. LA County Animal Control gave him a kennel permit for 50. He had 66 dogs out there at the time. Not all of them were sanctuary dogs. Not all of them were behavioral dogs. They were behavioral dogs and dogs that had issues. That's why they were out there for board and train. But so besides the 66 dogs, I'm sorry, the sun keeps getting in my face here. Besides the 66 dogs out in Acton, his Saskia also had another 12 to 14 dogs in boarding in a facility in Poway out in San Diego. So there were 66 dogs in Acton and another 12 to 14 at a place called Paws Paradise out in Poway. And so Paws Paradise, there were people DMing me and saying, we're kind of concerned. This is like a place that supposedly is cage free during the day. They're taking all these behavioral dogs, and it's a lady and her husband. Can they manage 12 to 14 of just Saskia's dogs alone with the other dogs that they're taking in there? So it was a lot.
As far as the shelter is concerned, releasing these dogs to him, were any payments made to the shelters that you're aware of?
You mean because fees paid?
Well, I know would charge a rescue or an individual $7,000 to take a dog. But were there any payments made to the shelters for the dogs that Baldwin had pulled?
Oh, well, okay. So there was an agreement with OC Animal Care, right? So for the behavioral dogs, the large behavioral dogs, they were giving Underdog Alliance $750 for every large behavioral dog that they pulled. It was $750 with a cap of 6 dogs a year. So that was it,
Okay.
But they did get stipend for $750, and that was because Mike Calviani, who was the shelter director at OC Animal Care and whose tenure at OC Animal Care was in a complete and epic failure, knew Steffen Baldwin from his Austin Pets Alive days. So, these two got together when Mike Calviani came to OC Animal Care and Steffen Baldwin came here. They put together a plan to get these large breed behavioral dogs out, and they awarded Steffen and Saskia and Underdog Alliance $750. Yes.
The shelter, is that a county or city run?
It was Orange County Animal Care.
Orange County shelter.
It was paid for by taxpayer funds. We know this, right?
Yeah.
We've had this conversation, and 2 of those dogs that were the stipend dogs that OC Animal Care gave them. One of those dogs supposedly was killed at his foster home, right? So the dog named Travis, they got $750 for that dog. Supposedly Travis broke loose from his or adoptive home during a thunderstorm and got hit by a car and died. So lots of information out there being put out there about by Saskia, but omitting facts like, okay, are you saying that during a thunderstorm, this adopted family left the dog outside during a thunderstorm and he escaped? Are you trying to say that during a thunderstorm, the dog actually escaped from inside the home and got out? I mean, like, come on, right? So, and then the other stipend dog that they had, Blue's bit like 2 or 3 people. Blue actually bit an employee out there at the in Acton named Jim Breakwood, and then Blue was like shuffled all around. He was adopted, I think 1 or 2 times, came back to Underdog Alliance. Then she shipped him off to be trained, and then he went to some place in Utah with some trainer I've never heard of named Heather Beck, and she was trying to adopt him out on her website and on her page, talking about what an amazing dog Blue is, and he's friendly and caller. So I posted, I'm like, you're aware that this dog bit 3 different people while he was out here in California, right? I'm just asking, because in California, there was a law that went in effect in January of 2021 that said that if any dogs from the shelter or if any dogs from a rescue bite somebody, if you're trying to adopt that dog out, the rescue or the shelter needs to disclose the bite history to the adopter. And she didn't do that. And, of course, for me asking, I got blocked. What else is new? So, but I mean, they have all these cute little pictures of him up, talking about how friendly he is and stuff. And I'm like, he bit like 3 people. Maybe you should mention that, because that's important. Because once again, trying to mask and hide it. And then that dog Blue, also when he was at the shelter, Mike Caviani, the shelter director, kept him drugged up on trazodone. So that dog was being given trazodone every day.
Is that like a sedative?
To hide his behavior.
It's like anxiety,
anti-anxiety, antidepressant for dogs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what I don't understand is, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but why should there have to be a law to understand that concept? I mean, we do that up here without a law.
Right.
I mean, if the dog has behavioral issues, the doctor needs to know what they're walking into on a dog.
Right. But, there are a lot of rescues in California that are unethical that don't disclose that, so.
Yeah. And we look at I mean, I just want to say real quick, 750, the shelter funded by taxpayers was giving Baldwin $750 per dog.
Yes. For a total of $6,000 a year, right? It was $6,000 the whole year, so it was capped. And then they signed the contract October, I think the end of October, and by December they had pulled all 6 dogs and they made their $6,000.
What a racket!
Yeah.
Seriously, Joe. Yeah. Can you imagine the things, Joe, that Lubbock could do with just $750?
A lot.
I mean, I've taken in dogs, and I've gotten zero fucking money for taking in a dog. Yeah, I had people, I would come home and I would see 40, 50 pounds of dog food sitting on my porch.
Yeah.
From a neighbor that, and you know what, man, I felt so freaking blessed. I got fucking food. I can feed the dogs, But
and
$750 is.
I mean, $750. I mean, that's 6 new panels to repair play yards or build a new one, or that's huge.
And in the end, these dogs, they were being 66 of them out there. They were just being caged in warehouse. That's it. There was nothing else going on. There was no play town. There was no play groups at the end. I know he did play groups and he would post videos on his Instagram of play groups, but I was told by the volunteers that they were few and far between. So, I mean, the ends that did not justify the means. It was unethical by any standards of ethics how those dogs were living out there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just real quick, guys. I know that Sharon, you've sent me quite a bit on quite a bit of stuff through PBA. Now it's including all the court records, and just guys, that those are public.
Public records. Just
So,
go onto the Union County, Ohio courthouse page, and you can see everything.
Yeah.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to post those of what you sent me. Those are going to be on the PBA.
Okay.
I want to post all those court documents. But there are other things that you sent me with your communications with other people involved in this, and there are communications that I'll just say that aren't so friendly.
Right.
Those I won't post. But I want to talk about this because we talked about Saskia and her. I can't recall her last name.
Basoy.
And she's a medical professional, guys.
She's a medical doctor.
And just reading some of the stuff that you sent me, I read that and I go, well, for someone in your position with that kind of education, you're a medical doctor. These communications are less than.
Right.
That's putting it nicely. Less than professional. Is there anything from those that you would want to share with us recently that's been going on with, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of deflection going on the other end. And
there is. Yeah.
If I'm just to be correct, Saskia is still 100% behind.
Defrauded, didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
But does she still support Baldwin?
Oh, no, she does not.
Oh, so she's
saying she was defrauded by Baldwin, just like everybody else was. She's claiming she was defrauded and she was duped, and she didn't know that Newman, Bosco, and Dozer were euthanized 5 months before his arrest. And then like with Goober, when Goober, mauled that person from London, and it was a mauling. Goober mauled him. And at that time, we reached out to that person and we were like, oh, do you want to sue? We know like some good attorneys that will take this. And then so another rescuer out in Long Beach, also reached out to him. And Saskia, did this post and she's all, why are you harassing a victim of and what did she call it? She called what Goober did to this person in England an accidental dog bite. And it was a lot more than an accidental dog bite. So, and it really disturbed me because I get it that when dogs maul someone that they end up in the hospital and they need rehabilitative care and their arms are broken and their legs are broken and they're sitting in a wheelchair and they had to have reconstructive surgery. It kind of disturbs me that you downplay what the dog did, tell the truth, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like in all of these cases, the one that always pays is the dog.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there. I don't know Goober. I've never met Goober, but it seems to me that there was when I look at these things, that, with these dogs is from what I see is a dog suffering.
Yeah, suffering and inhumane conditions. Yes,
it makes me tear up, and not just for the dog, but for the guy that got tore up by this dog. Yeah. And I I can't blame the dog. I mean, you maybe somebody else could have done.
No, it was definitely the trainer's fault, who was Steffen Baldwin. 100%, it was his fault. I mean, and like you said, it's the dog that paid, and the dog did pay. He lost his life. He had to be euthanized because of that, right?
Yeah. And you've got a dog that's dead, and then you've got a guy that's horribly bitten and disfigured in ways, and the guy that. And Baldwin just seems to be, he just seemed, I I don't
Just
know if
keep
I should.
going on, like nonchalantly, faking it, still faking it, still talking about his false narrative, about saving them all. So, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Joe, I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, last week we talked about getting a lawyer, and I would just seriously like to see if Baldwin went. Of course, he's going to have his lawyer on, and he's not going to answer any freaking questions because the lawyer's going to tell him not to.
Of course.
But I mean, that's the way it goes. I get it, but I'm just I don't know, Joe. What do you think? I mean, we've never had. I mean, usually we get, the I've never gone and done the show and got anybody to actually appear on the show and I guess to talk about the charges against them.
Right.
Well, I mean, obviously, I mean, on a rescue level, anybody that's been in rescue for any amount of time and is in it for the right reason knows saving them all is a fairy tale.
It is. It's a feel good slogan to
It
raise
is.
dollars. That's all it is.
I
It's a
mean,
feel-good
we
slogan.
try our best, but there are some dogs that you just can't save. There's some
Right.
dogs that even if you thought you could save, should not be saved because they can never be trusted in a community of people.
Right.
One time slipping past the door and somebody's hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that liability falls on you and your reputation.
Well, it would fall back on the homeowner, but because we let the dog out that way, knowing it was that way, it would fall back on us too. Yeah, it's a very big liability risk, let alone doing the right thing.
Yeah. In doing the right thing, Joe, in some cases it hurts. It hurts a lot. And if it doesn't pain you, then, why are you even doing this? I mean, we're in this because we love these dogs.
Yeah,
and to see somebody go out there and abuse that trust, and then everybody, I just see it as people looking on rescues now, the repercussions
There is not a dog that I let go, whether they're old, too medically sick, too big of behavioral issues, that I'm not at the vet. I'm not down on the floor holding that dog.
Right.
I am not crying through the process. I mean, it's not the dog's fault. The way it's been treated, it's not the dog's fault. Everything that's happened to him to make them that way.
Right.
And the dog shouldn't have to lose its life for that, but we can't be putting out dogs out there that's danger to the community, that's danger to people, that's danger to
public
other
safety
dogs.
does matter. Public safety does matter. Yeah.
And that's part of being a responsible rescue and doing what's right by your community and your people.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's some things. Remember, I was talking last week about how he did like a 2.5 interview or a podcast called Getting Real with Josh Boyer. And he was talking about how dogs did die out at the ranch because he put them in play groups and he didn't know how to break them up. So here's some things. Here's some other takeaways from what he said on Josh Boyer that I find really interesting, because I know those were not in alignment with Saskia's point of view, because Saskia is one of those extreme militant, no kill, whatever. If the dogs are damaged or, if the dogs are a danger to society, just cage them and warehouse them away for the rest of their lives rather than behaviorally euthanizing. But so at the 1 hour and 32-minute mark, Baldwin states that he saw dogs killing each other on his ranch because he couldn't break up the dog fights he didn't think was going to happen in the first place. And the 1 hour and 43-minute mark, Baldwin states that both the no-kill movement and the pro-pitbull movement are extreme. Baldwin stated he was looked up to in the no-kill movement and pitbull community. And the anti-pitbull and pro-pitbull groups, everybody was watching him. The pro-pitbull groups, people put him on a pedestal, stating that he is the greatest person in the world. So when something bad happened out at his ranch, he didn't talk about it. He wasn't going onto social media and saying, hey, the dog the shelter said was aggressive. Well, guess what? He was aggressive. He didn't say that. What good did it serve the greater purpose or the mission at that point? And that mission was to save them all, and that all behavioral bulls can be rehabilitated, and that he was doing life-saving work. At 144, Baldwin states that transparency is so critical that you can't that you can't train and fix every dog, that sometimes the dog is so aggressive and they can't be fixed, but you have to try every alternative. And then he states, give them a good death rather than a bad life. And it's not talked about in the rescue community, and it needs to be talked about. At 1 hour and 45 minutes in, Josh Boyer stated that if one of his dogs ever bit his kid, that dog is going down and is going to be killed. At 1 hour and 48 minutes in, Baldwin said he learned his lesson and he has become more transparent, and he needs to talk about behavioral euthanasia more. He said lots of people in rescue dogs, and if it doesn't work out, they put them down and they just don't talk about it. At 1 hour and 49 minutes, Baldwin admits that he realizes he pushed a false narrative for the bigger message regarding pit bulls and behavioral dogs. 2 hours in, he states with Board and Train that they only have 2 to 3 spots for private clients, and that usually his Hollywood clients that he charges a lot more, and the rest is for rescues and shelters. 2 hours and 7 minutes in, Baldwin states hardcore no-kill movement, hardcore pro-pit bull movement. There are dangerous dogs, public safety issues, dogs suffering from mental health, and that he now believes that a good death is better than a bad life. Baldwin states the extreme animal welfare community says you can't have this middle of the road approach, and he says that when he can't and he states that he can't do what he can't do anymore is to pretend to be in that group that doesn't euthanize dogs and that think that all dogs are good, and that he supports no kill. Baldwin states he is still active in the no kill community, but he has changed his message from "you can save them all" to "let's give them a chance and save the ones you can, and don't be ashamed when you can't, and don't hide it." In 2 hours and 25 minutes in, Baldwin states he has always been a middle of the road person. He was just never honest about it. In 2 hours and 34 minutes in, Josh Boyer asked, how do you want to be remembered? Baldwin states as someone that worked really hard and always put himself last and other people first. So, my takeaway from that was when he came out here, he was recruited by Saskia so they could continue to do the amazing life-saving work that he was doing in Ohio, right? Amazing life-saving work with 18 dead dogs. And it was all about the no-kill movement. And then he states, in this podcast that he's changed his mind. He doesn't believe in no-kill. It's okay to be middle of the road, so, and Saskia is you're either no-kill or you're not. There's nothing else. So I know that they still fought and clashed over that. Yeah.
And here's the thing is, if you look at any no-kill facility out there, no-kill is that you're adopting out 99.6% of your animals alive, okay? So we've helped over 100 dogs in the last 8 years. Out of those 100 dogs, we've put down 9 dogs. The 9 dog total is over our 15 years. That puts us in the 99.6% class.
Right.
We try to run no-kill as much as possible. But again, like we stated, there is no such thing as saving them all.
Right, you can't
there
save them all.
There is going to be dogs that you have to put down, whether for medical or for behavioral.
Yeah, I mean, no kill is a beautiful thought.
Marketing term.
in marketing term. I mean, it would be in a perfect world where we didn't have to do that.
Right.
It's something that we can strive for, but we also have to recognize that we can't save them all. And to make a long little story short here, if you remember the story about that the tide is going out and there's a little boy running up and down the beach and he's throwing starfish out in the ocean. He's trying to save these starfish, and somebody goes, you can't save them all. Yeah. And he picks up one and he throws that starfish out. And he's like, I've saved that one. If you save who we can save,
right?
Don't bullshit people into something. People might call me out on this. Joe. I mean, you're saying. No kill is not a reality, guys.
Right. And the thing is when you play no kill. And you don't post what's going on with your dogs. Right. And when you have a supporter, like we get supporters for specific dogs, So then that supporter comes up and says, "Hey, where's that dog?"
Right.
Well, if you haven't said, we went to the vet agrees
And
this
euthanize it.
behavioral is an issue, the dog had to be euthanized and everything, then that person doesn't know where that dog's at. Now you've
Right.
lost that supporter because you can't account for that dog.
Right. And you can't be honest and transparent.
Yeah.
Transparency is
Exactly.
the cornerstone of rescue.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I hope this case brings a lot of that light, that to light. And that people will have the discussions that we're having.
Right.
With the no kill and the save them all efforts, but not
Right.
not to discourage anybody to try, but we all need to understand we're all in this. We all need to understand. I think most of us do. I think most people
Right.
really do have an understanding that we can go above and beyond and do the very, very best we can do for these dogs. In some cases, the best thing that we can do is to end their suffering, and we
Right.
need to
Give them a
be there
humane
for
release.
them and
Yeah.
with them. We just can't treat them as like, oh, that's a vicious dog. It's like, understand that dog is suffering.
Right.
He's not making a conscious effort to maul somebody. The dog is suffering. There's something going on that went on that dog's life that we just can't fix it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
Something
is
that's
being
gone on in their
warehoused
life or
is
or is a short circuit in their brain. They can be born with deficiencies just like we
Yeah.
can.
and is being warehoused and caged outside 24/7 in all
I-
the elements like an underdog. Is that more humane than a kind release? I don't think so, but
Yeah. And we see
Going
it.
insane by yourself.
some people say that them being alive and just living is better than a death, but no, the
No.
quality of living matters, right?
No, I mean, you're talking. We've seen what happens in past when dogs are caged. I don't want to talk about this. Let's just not say a pit bull. Let's talk about any dog that is caged
Yes.
and confined, and that's it. That is your life in this.
No
However
socialization.
big your kennel is, that's your life. That's not life. That's
No.
Yes.
your.
Well, I
that's-
mean,
Quality
it
of life.
boils it boils back to several different stories that we've had on PBA over the year where a dog has been at the end of a chain most of its life, no socialization, ends up biting somebody. It's the same thing to be caged because of your mental disability or whatever is going on for you that makes you aggressive. You're sitting in that cage with no socialization. It's eventually going to end bad. You're not having any contact outside of your cage.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then so we'll move on. And then I was contacted by a lady, and her story just broke my heart. But thank God there's a happy ending to that story. So she's all like, I read everything you posted about Stefan, and I wish I had known. She lived in Michigan, and her son, who was a beautiful, beautiful child, had committed suicide, and he committed suicide with the dog in the room, and the dog's name is Hannah, and she's a beautiful pit bull. So they have Hannah now, but so Stefan was adding on to Underdog Alliance, right? So there was Underdog Alliance out in Acton, and then there was his Save Them All dog training. So he was opening a center at the Save Them All dog training called the Steffen Baldwin Center for Dogs Who Do Good and Play, or whatever, from the Zoolander thing, right? And then so he was putting out to the general public that they could donate money, and a cottage where the dog was supposed to be held, which was like a cottage, but it wasn't a cottage. They were putting them in shipping containers, right? So the dogs were going to be held in shipping containers. You would get your name like on the front door of the cottage, which was in actuality just a shipping container or a room in the shipping container. So the community, because her son was so beloved in the community, raised $5,000 for her, and she let the community know, hey, we're going to raise $5,000. There's going to be a memorial, and there's going to be a plaque in Jake's name at Steffen Baldwin's place out in Acton. Steffen does amazing work. So she sent Steffen Baldwin $5,000 on behalf of her son for the money the community raised, and then she also made a couple more donations, and of course nothing was ever put up for her son. No plaque, no nothing. So she was just all like, Sharon, I'm completely gutted by this. Like, I can't believe that I believed him, but worse yet, I had the whole community fundraise, and I feel like I failed. I now I have to come and explain to the community what happened out there, and it's just like my son's legacy is like tarnished now. So I said to her, okay, I said, look, I can't change what happened. And I'm like, but if you find a good rescue out in the Michigan area, let me know. I said, we'll donate $5,000. We'll pay for his name to be put on a plaque at any dog rescue or any rescue center. But so we were reached out by someone that's really well known and famous that heard the story. And Jake is going to be getting a plaque out at that facility, and it's going to be on TV. So
Good.
Awesome.
I'm just wondering if there are any civil suits. This is just,
we're trying, and we're in touch with quite a number of people that Steffen Baldwin has failed, and we're trying our best to get them to sue. So that's all I can say for now.
Yeah. That was just a thing. With the way that this woman was took, and it's not just that she was took for $5,000. It just the whole
what he did to her,
thing behind it. She thought she was and she got took, and it's like I can see, and I hope that people were let's don't make it about the money, make it about set an example for this son of a bitch.
Exactly.
And for what he did to people. You kill dogs, and then you take money from people who are in pain and suffering and trying to create a memory, and then you turn around and you do this to people. It's just, to me, it's unconscionable. I don't know how anybody could actually do that and think that it's, and just think that they can walk away with it.
Right. And then, and just like when that person was mauled by Goober, Underdog Alliance, Saskia, Steffen never offered to pay any of his medical bills or anything, they have insurance. They have an over $1 million insurance. So I know most of the insurance would cover that, right?
He's driving around a Porsche convertible. Of course he can afford it.
And dining at Yamashiro's. And by the way, somebody texted me and asked me where Yamashiro's is, and it's in Hollywood. It's in the Hollywood Hills, and it has a beautiful view of the Hollywood Hills. So just so you all know, if you ever go there.
Is that a Japanese restaurant, or we're just going to go out? It's a Japanese restaurant.
It's Japanese sushi, but it's so much more than sushi. They have high end wagyu beef and all that stuff.
Oh, you got to have some money to go there.
I said for me and someone to go is usually $300. That's on the mile, and it can cost you anywhere from $300 to $500 for two people. You see?
I couldn't spend that. Kind of money on it.
Me either.
Yeah, and then he posted other pictures. There's a restaurant in LA. It's 77 floors above in a building, so you're 70 floors up, and you have a view of all of LA. And he posted like him and his son and his girlfriend dining there as well. And I'm just like, really? I don't know.
But you can't make a post about all the dogs that you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad enough when we raise money for a dog and a dog emergency comes up and we have to shift it to another dog and put it back, let alone any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, he, Clyde, who's another dog, I believe Clyde's from OC Animal Care as well. He got bit by a rattlesnake out on Steffen's property, and he put up a fundraiser, to raise money to take him to the vet because of the rattlesnake. And then when his own dog, Bullwinkle, died because Bullwinkle got into a dog fight with another dog, and Steffen didn't notice his puncture wounds and stuff. So by the time Steffen got Bullwinkle to the vet, he was in full bloat and he died, right? So he put up he started a memorial called the Bullwinkle Memorial Fund, and like all these stupid people donated thousands of dollars to his Bullwinkle Memorial Fund, and I'm just like, you guys are just, you're just stupid. What can I say?
Yeah. He's
there's been so many accidents out there, and then I think I shared with you the picture, right? A rescue in Long Beach sent their dog out there called Meatloaf, and then Stefan's story to the rescue was that Meatloaf and another dog was fighting between the cages, and Meatloaf got his tail bit off, and most of his tail had to be amputated by a dog fight. So the rescue in Long Beach, Live Love Rescue, also put up a fundraiser asking for money, like $3,000, to take Meatloaf to the vet. And I was all like, why are you asking the general public to fund this? You know, this happened on Stefan's property. This is Stefan's fault. You should be asking Steffen Baldwin to pay
Yeah.
the bill. But so
Yeah.
she raised the money. She took Meaty to the Meatloaf. They call him Meaty. She took him to the vet, and right after drove him right back up to Steffen Baldwin's place and kept him there again. Yeah.
Nope.
So these people don't learn. And so my take from this was, and you know, Tia Torres did, I think, 3 or 4 episodes on Steffen Baldwin already. She had a podcast. Yeah, and it's called Unmuzzled. I'll send you the link later.
Yeah.
You know, I have much love and respect for Tia, but
Yeah.
you know, we have a different opinion, because she's all like, nobody purposely put their dog out there knowing, you know, that they were going to be in jeopardy, or knowing that the conditions were less than ideal. And I'm going to have to disagree with that. I believe there are rescues and there are people that, so their conscience could be clear. You know, they knew this dog was beyond their what do you call it? Beyond their scope to handle, right? Or beyond the means. Did bring them to Steffen Baldwin, knowing that the conditions were maybe less than ideal or inhumane, or like what happened to Meaty, simply because then it was Steffen Baldwin's problem, you know, and they could wash it away and walk away with a clear conscience, you know. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And belief. So.
I think there are a lot of people that are I get an accomplice,
right,
enablers,
right,
and that's like just like the rescues you talk about. Well, not my problem anymore.
Right. We're just going to leave them
here.
And
we're just you know, and but
right, and so then even after Meatloaf lost his tail, and it had to be, his tail was bit off or whatever by another dog, half of it, and most of it had to be amputated. She brought that dog back there, and then she still continued to bring him dogs after that. Okay, different dogs, and then when he got arrested, a longtime foster of hers and a longtime a foster and some people that donated reached out to her and said, hello, your dogs are still at the property. I think she had 2 or 3 at the time. I know she had Meatloaf and one named Maria. And they're like, what are you doing? He's arrested. These dogs are out there. There's like one person on the property, you know, trying to care for all these dogs. And so she did go, and she did bring the dogs back to her home, I believe, in Long Beach. And then she went on vacation back east to where she was, and then she drove them back out there and left them out there again. Or she drove Meatloaf back out there and left them with a volunteer out there at the time named Aiden, even after Steffen was arrested.
Who can you name this rescue?
Live Love Rescue, and the owner is Emily. Live Love Rescue. Live Love Animal Rescue out of Long Beach, and the owner is Emily Ann Peters.
And they knowingly brought those dogs back, knowing the conditions that were going on there. Yep. There's nobody there to feed these dogs.
Well, there was one person named Aiden, and Steffen's girlfriend, who was useless and did absolutely nothing. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. So she took the dogs out because she was getting blowback from fosters and some of her donors. Took them out and then put them right back when she went on vacation in New Hampshire.
How convenient. How convenient.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's just disgusting, and the whole situation's disgusting.
We do personal boarding here once in a while for people that just fall on hard times and needs a place to be able to keep their bullies so that they don't lose them. So they find a place where they can live with them. And, you know, when those types of dogs come in that are other people's dogs, nobody handles them but us.
Right.
Awful if anything ever happened to their dog.
Right. So, I mean, that's just a perfect example of, like, you know what went on in the facility. You know he's been arrested now. You know your dog lost his tail there, yet you're still going to bring that dog and other dogs there, enablers, complete enablers and supporters. I just sickened,
That's
Yeah.
just another person who has no business in the business of rescue. Um, you just
Well,
kind of make. I mean, what are you really the motives behind it? I would love more than anything to be more deeply involved in Joe, what you're doing, and be able to have dogs here in my care. But the reality of it is, I know especially on the financial end of it, I can't handle that. Especially financially. Physically, with my back goes out, and if I've got 3-4 dogs here that aren't mine, I can't take care of those dogs.
Right.
I know better.
And then
It just.
go ahead.
I mean, it just seems Baldwin just
He had all these enablers, and these people knew, and then like the one lady that ran the program in Long Beach, where she was allowing him to come in and speak to the elementary school children, right? She knew, she was well aware of, and at that time, of course, he hadn't been convicted. There were only, pending charges. But when somebody writes her and tells her, Steffen Baldwin has an open, active investigation in Ohio currently, pending charges for animal cruelty, and then she's going to say, oh, well, I did a background check on him. Nothing came up. Well, yeah, nothing's going to come up because the charges are pending, right? There's no, and at that time, they hadn't even been filed yet, so there was no record. But I mean, like I said, if someone told me, Sharon, oh, you're working with this trainer, are you aware that he currently has an open, active criminal investigation out in Ohio? I'll be like, no, but I'll go get that dog, right? I'm not going to leave my dog there. I'm certainly not going to allow him to go into school and teach elementary school children.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
At least dig into it and find out how much truth there is to it, because obviously there are people that just spread shit, But,
right. Yeah, well, and that's true too. But I mean, the officer in Ohio was willing to talk to people, Christopher DeWitt, who was Steffen Baldwin's boss out at the Logan Humane Society or Logan Animal Shelter in Ohio, was willing to talk to anybody, and nobody, they just didn't care, because once again, these are, and all the people I'm talking about, they're all in the complete save them all, no kill camp, So in my opinion and belief, they had to disregard that, because they just had to keep going along with, these large behavioral pit bulls, we can save them all, and this is how we achieve no kill. So they disregarded everything for their own agendas and for their own narratives. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I agree. God, Sharon, it seems like, God, this conversation could go on. And I think we're going to revisit as the case continues, as we get more information. I'm going to be posting.
I have one more quick story, please.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, and then there was a volunteer that used to work out there, and her name's Carolina Woodson, and I don't know, she's from back east somewhere as well, right? So she worked out there for a while, and then she left. So when the dogs, when Steffen was arrested, she did a fundraiser. She came down here. She rented a U-Haul van. I think she was transporting 4 or 5 dogs back to Michigan, right? The night she went to pick up the dog named Janie. So Janie died on the transport van, okay? So she goes out there. She picks up 4 or 5 dogs, puts up all these posts. She was a former worker out there, was a paid worker. I think she lived on the premises in a camper or something. She left. So she put up this big old post on, rest in peace, Janie, and you died on transport. And I think her body temperature was like over 100 degrees or something. So literally she cooked to death. And so, of course, I got on the thread and I was all like, okay, so, this dog was overheating and you still continued to drive the dog cross-country lines. You didn't decide to stop at a vet or anything, and these are how some of these people do it. They don't vet the dogs before they take them. They don't do a health check. They just drive them across country lines. So anyway, the dog died on transport that night, and there was this big blowback. And then, of course, she did a repost and she changed her story. And then at first she was all like, yeah, when I worked out there, he made the employees we were the ones, we were buying the stuff for the dogs. The dogs didn't have anything. Stefan wasn't providing the dogs anything. We, the employees, were buying food and toys and stuff to make their kennel life better. And I saw a lot of things out there that were bad, and these dogs living in less than ideal conditions. And I'm like, okay, so you were actually a worker. You quit because you were buying everything for the dogs and you saw the dogs weren't being treated kindly and humanely, yet you quit and you walked away and you never called animal control, you never called the police,
Yeah.
you never told anybody, and then you're coming back out here and you picked up 5 dogs to bring back to Minnesota, or a couple dogs were going to Minnesota. She adopted a couple, and then Janie died on transport, like literally died that night. Her body temperature was over 100 degrees and she died in the back of a U-Haul van, right? So, I mean, and then she changed her story, talking about the conditions weren't so bad when she left. And, I was just all, why did you remain quiet? And then once again, it goes back to, we're supposed to be there to protect the dogs, not the abuser, right? It says all the time, be a voice. We are supposed to be their voice. We're supposed to be standing up for the dogs.
Yeah.
And then I know that, like, that Carolina Woodson and Jim Breakwood and the volunteer from England, plus some of the employees out there and other volunteers, they've all seen things. They all know things. And for whatever reason, they've all chose to remain quiet,
Yeah. I could never, ever understand that. I would,
right.
Your silence is
complicity.
Thank you. I was going, what's the perfect word?
Exactly.
Silence is complicity. You are an enabler. I mean, I don't care if you're afraid to go or not. If you don't say anything,
this is what happens.
You're
complicit in the death of those dogs.
You just 100%. And if anybody come out any sooner and said something earlier on, maybe we could have saved more lives. And hopefully now that this is going on, we can save them.
And I'm not going to mince words. And I told her, I'm like, you're the reason this dog is dead. You know that, right? I mean, hello, but then she's got to rationalize it and talk about, oh yeah, even though Janie's dead, I was able to save 4 more, but that dog is dead, so even if one dog is dead, is that okay? Like, so these people are just fucking nuts. That's all I have to say. They're like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. And just the case goes to trial
December 6th or 7th till the 21st.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to revisit. If anything comes up, let me know. And as you know, this show is yours. If anything comes up that's relevant that we need to get out, we will find a way to get it out through Pitbull Advocate. It's just, really appreciate your coming on. I mean, we're just discussing this and the people that you've talked with and the things that are going on and how it pertains to the upcoming case. I think it's still important that we talk about it. And we don't do this stiff little interview junk here. Right. We enjoy the conversation, and it just seems to work out so much better. And who's that, Joe?
Katrina.
Hi, Katrina.
She's been laying behind me the whole time.
She can't hear me whistling because you got your earbuds in.
Yeah.
From Hurricane Katrina?
Yeah. You want to hear him whistle?
Katrina dog?
She is. She came from Tijuana, Mexico. They were going to put her down at 2 years old for a broken leg.
Oh.
And the vet was like, "No, you're not." Took possession, did the surgery, started reaching out to rescues. We paid her bill, got her on Pilot for Paws.
Nice.
And through her healing process, me and her bonded. She started hitting on my issues. She's very smart intelligently, so we've been training her for the next service dog. She's been on the floor about 4 months and probably about 10 months in on what it usually takes me to get a dog. So it just really gets it. My babies.
She's really come a long way. That's beautiful to see that. See her attitude just seems to be really. She from what I recall, she just seemed kind of a bit low key and kind of whatever. Just to see that big smile coming on there, to see that how she's developed into.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave her that ability to come out and who she really is. So,
yeah, we're pretty sure she was in a backyard a lot. She was scared of a lot of things when she first got here.
She's beautiful.
Becoming more brave and more social, and yeah, she's doing well. Thank you.
All right. Well, it's great talking to you. And once again, if you're going to support a rescue, do your due diligence. Ask for references.
Yeah. Visit
the facility. Make sure you see them. Beware of wolves in sheep clothing, and just because you self-identify as an animal advocate or a rescuer or trainer doesn't necessarily make you one. So just remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
All
and
right.
we're going to follow this case. I'm going to post a lot of those court documents there on the PBA so people are a little more aware of, the charges that are pending, and hopefully a better understanding that they get through these conversations. Thanks again, Sharon. I really appreciate you. And anytime you want to come back.
Thank you. You guys have a good weekend. Enjoy your Labor Day. Bye-bye.
Absolutely, yes. All right. Bye-bye. So, again, I mean, the conversations, Joe, I think, this format really, it really works because we never, just the big stiff interview kind of thing going on here. We never been too keen on that. It's just nice to be able to give the format and the floor and the time to guests like Sharon to talk about their experiences, and of course, everything that's going on with this case.
Right.
I also first want to mention that that we're with Tia and everybody at Villalobos, with the hurricane and the flooding and just it's just crazy, man. I don't know how she does it. She's tough as nails to go from wildfires in California to hurricanes and floods in New Orleans. I don't know how you do it, but it's like, if it ain't one thing, it's another, but it's just,
we put up a little live feed on her just to draw attention to what they're going through with this. I mean, the main power line coming into Louisiana fell into the Mississippi River. They're not supposed to have any power for at least a month. The humidity there, it puts risk of all their dog food molding, everything. And just tried to draw some attention her way versus us. I mean, we're helping 18 dogs and she's helping over 400, so there's greater good of the cause. So we made sure to step up and put something up for her. Hats off to her and keeping all the dogs safe,
It's a tough gig, man, and she's on a different level than a lot of people. And then the great thing is that they do have a lot of attention and recognition from the show, Pitbulls and Parolees. I think that is, that most definitely, gives them, definitely
a bigger audience,
a bigger audience, and people that have an understanding what's going on, because she's doing what a lot of people, they want to do, and if you're in that, but just man, I mean, I don't know. It's like I say, it's like you got wildfires and you got floods, and I don't want to knock them, make it sound like I'm knocking them, but it's like, oh man, if if it ain't one, it's another. But Joe, I mean, you guys got smoked out. You guys just due to the levels of the smoke coming in from fires nearby, You didn't get,
Yeah,
you didn't have to flee during a burn, but just from the fire, you guys had to get out of town.
Yeah, the fire was not on the ridge behind us, but the ridge behind that. And we had monitored for several days through the fire scanners to see which way it was moving. And it was actually moving away from us, but the smoke just came in so heavy that we had to.
Yeah.
Our senior dogs were coughing. We were coughing, trying to take care of the dogs. I mean, we had to clear out.
Yeah. And with, like you say, the main power line's down, so it is far from over from them. I was thinking,
a month and a half without power. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, I would hope that maybe if they have any sort of generator, I know, I mean, besides their facility, it's going to take more than just like your standard go to Home Depot and get a generator. But I think if people could step up, donate a generator or two, and they could have a couple of these generators, running around the property to basically keep on, keep the lights on, at least power, lights and get that sort of thing in there, because it's going to be a long time, and it's not over for them. It's not over for them by any means. They've got, I mean, I'm sure they've got repairs and other things to do too. So hopefully, they can get the needed repairs. And I don't know. I mean, you got stuff coming in. You worry about food for the dogs. Did that food get wet, damaged? You sitting on 100 pounds or whatever of soggy dog food that you just can't use. So there are a lot of things I'm sure that they're going to be in need of. Blankets, bedding, gasoline. To fuel their vans and their transport vehicles and
the generators. There's no power at any of the gas stations to bring in to go. You can't go down to the corner and say, hey, I want 5 gallons worth of gas. There's no electricity to pump it. And that's been part of the problem. I mean, last time I heard at the main facility, they had 8 generators running there. 4 of them was down. I heard Generac was on their way in to repair them for free. I don't know if that happened or not.
Yeah.
Last couple days ago, they were doing tree removal at the parish location. So, I mean, last time I heard, they just got dog food donations at the main facility, and that was dry. But like they said, with the humidity, without ACs to keep it cool, it'll mold.
Yeah.
They can't use it.
Yeah,
So,
and that's the thing. I mean, with the heat and and humidity down there, Jesus,
So I mean, they're fighting a lot of fires right now, just within their own organization.
Yeah. So I just want to hit on that. As far as them, and it's just tough. You got to be tough. And I think Tia is about as tough as they come, and I think she's passed a lot of that badass onto her daughters and to her crew. So everybody, the volunteers, the parolees, Tia and family, you got this. They got, they're, you gotta be. You can't. It's like we say, never give in.
Never give up.
Never give up. But I don't know what we're doing next week, Joe. I think we'll find something to go along. In the meantime, PrestonFilm.com. It's from our friend Jeff Beeman. Pitbull bans are bullshit. Let's get him on again sometime. Let's get Jeff back on. We'll talk. Let's get who else? Kenny and Phil and Brandon from Chance, because the momentum is picked up on that. The film is still, chance to film. Let's, figure out what's going on there. I keep saying I want to see. I call it second chance. Do a follow up on there. Amazing film if you guys haven't caught it. Chancetofilm.com. Animated feature, anti-dog fighting, and just told from the dog's perspective.
We're still trying to find a place to do a showing that is a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Here, so
Yeah, and I
still
hope
in the
that.
plans.
Yeah, we'll keep that up. But anyway, guys, we appreciate you tuning in and just kind of hanging out with us as we do the show. It's nice to get back into it. Being able to feel well enough to do it. It's been a little while, hit and miss a few times, but next week I guess we'll figure out what we're going to do. Joe, we were going to do some trivia.
Yeah, we kind of lost that, didn't we?
We're going to do some trivia. I really can't tell if there's anybody out there. We're going to do some. We'll do that next week. But in the meantime, down in there at the bottom, Bullet Dog Coffee Company with the coupon code 3PITS, number 3 PITS. 3 Pits gives you $3 off your order. And again, we've been talking to Love a Pit Rescue as far as doing fundraising and getting you guys your own special blends ready to to promote your rescue and to recognize the dogs. Everything basically an exclusive headed over to Love a Pit Rescue. You won't get those blends anyplace else except for Love a Pit Rescue, and support them in their cause and get a great bag of coffee in the process.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Love it. It's the good stuff, baby. It's the good stuff. There we go. That's not a custom mug. I broke mine. That's a sticker. I cheated.
Yeah, and this has been Dosha's Delight. This is our flagship custom blend. So
that's a good coffee, man.
It is. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, hey guys, we're out of here. We're going to see you next week. I'm going to try and think of something big. I'm going to do a big something next week. So let's see what happens. So, peace.
Okay.
Never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.